Hi there, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I'm your host, Carmen, and I'm so happy that you pressed play on today's episode. If you're new to the podcast, I am an early childhood special education teacher. I'm also a certified life and performance coach, and I am the host of this podcast. I do a lot of other things, but I really love to teach others about their ADHD because when I learned that I had it late diagnosed in my 20s, I had no idea. They handed me some medication and sent me on my way. I didn't have any idea how ADHD really affected me. So that's why I have this podcast, to help inform you with the latest research and the different strategies and ways we can support ourselves so we can live our best lives with ADHD instead of spending our lives fighting against it. So before we get too far into the episode, this is kind of a reminder that our working memory sucks, my friend. So if you enjoy this podcast, make sure you follow or subscribe so that you can see every time that I drop a new episode. And if you have the capacity to do so, if you could also give the show a rating and or review, I would really, really, really appreciate you like forever. Okay, back to the show. Have you ever woken up and immediately you feel like you're in quicksand? You're moving in slow motion and your ADHD symptoms seem to have been kicked up to level 100. You are not alone. We all experience this ebb and flow of our energy, where basic tasks feel monumental and our usual go-to strategies and supports are not working as well as they usually do. Personally, I call these my bad brain days. And I'm not only unmotivated and stuck, but I'm so irritable and impulsive with my words on these days, and not in a nice way. This doesn't help anyone, so today we are diving into why these days happen, accepting the reality of it, and most importantly, diving into a few ways we can support ourselves on these days so we can show up in the best ways that we can. Are you ready? Let's get started. All right, we're going to start with gaining a basic understanding of what a low brain day is. This will help you gain self-awareness around your specific ebbs and flows of energy and what constitutes a low brain day for you as well. So on these days, basically, the CEO or the boss of our brain, who is usually pretty bad at the job anyways, but he doesn't show up at all on these days, right? So this person who manages all the executive functions, they don't show up. Now, you may be thinking, well, they're not good at their job anyway, so why does it really even matter? It matters because we function a lot better when that person shows up rather than having nothing to help manage all the executive functions. So we struggle more with emotions, planning, motivation, memory, self-regulation, focusing, and more. They are literally low days, and they happen for a few different reasons specific to having ADHD. I do want to make it clear that all humans do experience lower brain days, but it does impact ADHD brains a lot more and more often because we are already at a deficit in the executive functioning area. Some other reasons why ADHDers may experience more frequent low brain days are: 1, overwhelm. When the ADHD brain gets really, really overwhelmed, it tends to completely shut down, leading to very hard days. These can constitute as low brain days. Number 2, mental fatigue. ADHD brains work twice as hard to focus and process information and regulate. So sometimes they just literally need a break. Number 3, emotional distress. Anytime an ADHDer is faced with a high stress environment or rejection or anxiety or feelings of failure, it can completely drain our energy, leading to a low brain day. And number 4, physical health. Whether you're eating poorly or getting poor or little sleep, you're not moving your body or drinking enough water or meeting your basic needs, it's essential to meet our basic needs, because when we don't, it tends to exacerbate our symptoms and make those bad brain days way more frequent. Now, these reasons can be things that we can improve, of course, but we also have to remember that we are humans who have energy that ebbs and flows. So part of the process is understanding that these days will happen. So you want to just be prepared for them when they do, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focus for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. So now that we have covered what low brain days are, I want to, go into some of the strategies that we can use to support ourselves when talking about these low brain days. So I want to start with the tip of adjusting your expectations and accepting the day for what it is. None of these strategies are going to work if you're believing that you need to be doing better, going faster, or you're beating yourself up. You're just putting yourself in a position to fail ahead of time because you're setting unrealistic expectations. So lowering your expectations and accepting the day for what it realistically is will help you to get whatever you have to do done while sorting out the things that can wait and ways that you can rest, recharge, and care for yourself in the best ways that you can. The next tip is all about being in reality. What are your non-negotiable priorities? I'm not talking about that gift that you think you have to order or the decorations you feel you should put up. I'm talking about meeting your basic needs, keeping any animals or children in your possession or that you may have alive, and any task that is due on that day or something that someone's relying on you for. For example, on a Sunday, if I'm having a low brain day, which is common for me, my non-negotiables include eating, walking, feeding my dog, staying hydrated, and doing my lesson plan, and then being intentional about resting. Notice how the only work task is my lesson planning because it's due by 12 a.m. on Monday. The rest is about self-care and caring for my living things. Think about what this may mean or look like for you, especially in different days of the week or in different seasons of your life. The next tip I have for you is to simplify your routines. Take out any extras and just do the bare minimum. This is different for everyone. Maybe you move your shower from the morning to the evening, or maybe you cut out that step entirely. Think about your needs in your life from day to day and create the bare basics for what you need. Be sure you have easy access to some healthy snacks and easy to make meals so that meeting that basic need doesn't feel like climbing a mountain, giving you the ability to use your capacity in ways that you want to or in other ways that you need to. Going along with helping our executive functions on days that they are lower than normal, our memory really gets impacted on these low brain days. So leaning on automation that you have previously set up and reminders on your phone and or sticky notes, whatever helps you externalize your memory, do it. Seriously, it's one of the best tools that you could ever know. And make sure that the strategies work for you. Sticky notes don't work for me. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that sticky notes only work for me if I am using it for something for the next day or something for, I don't know, that I'm going to know where I'm going to look at myself in a mirror or look at a screen. And I put the sticky note right in the middle of that screen because otherwise it becomes a part of my environment. So test out some of the strategies and make sure they're actually working. Okay? Externalize your memory in the ways that you can find and then make sure they're working. The next tip that I have for you has to do with your environment. First, creating a work or rest environment in a way that satisfies our brains and is comfortable will always be an important factor. Think about it. On regular brain days, we even get distracted by lighting, sound, temperature, smells, and other stimuli. So on a low or bad brain day, these things are amplified by 1,000. So set up a workspace and or rest area that provides comfort. For me, I cannot be hot. I'd rather be a tad cooler where I'm working and resting. I run hot, my body runs hot. Where others may need to make sure that there's extra blankets in certain areas and maybe a space heater. Ideally, you'd set up these environments before you'd run into a bad brain day, but from experience, I can tell you that it can be kind of soothing to set up these areas when you need them. If the workspace isn't working for you or you can't focus, I suggest changing up the environment. Add or remove things from a current environment, move to a different room, go outside, or go to a coffee shop or a library. Going to a coffee shop or a library incorporates the next tip, which is engaging in body doubling. ADHD brains find motivation when there are other people working around them. This is why I did well in school. I didn't get A's or anything. I was a C, B, C, D student, but I did my work because other people around me were working. I didn't learn this until later in life, but that's one of the many things that saved me in my childhood and being undiagnosed and untreated. So when this is a factor, and if you need that accountability, You can even ask a friend, a coworker, an accountability buddy to hop on Zoom, or you can ask a loved one to sit with you in order to get those non-negotiable priority tasks done. Now, tasks here is very light. It should only be like one, maybe two. But you can even utilize these tools for self-care. For example, calling a friend while you do the dishes, or listening to a podcast while you're taking a walk. Body doubling and parallel tasking are super supportive on low brain days. Personally, I find them really, really helpful. Give it a try. I mean, you might be surprised. The next strategy I want to talk about has to do with time management and staying in reality. We are time blind, my friends. So I use timers for everything, and I have clocks everywhere. And I put bigger spaces for my transitions and more time for intentional rest on low brain days. Doing this allows me to get my vital tasks done, care for myself, my animals, and take the rest that I need. The next tip that I would love for you to try is to engage in non-demanding activities and resting without guilt. Your productivity does not determine your worth, and if you have a hard time resting or engaging in activities that you enjoy without thinking about your to-do list or beating yourself up, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are hustling for your worthiness, according to Brené Brown. This way of living is not sustainable. I've read, 6 or 7 of her books, and I can tell you from reading them more than once that this way of living is not sustainable. Hustling for your worthiness is not sustainable. It can impact your self-worth significantly in a negative way. So learning how to truly rest, it was really, really hard for me, and it took a long time, probably 7 months to a year. It was hard work, but it was totally worth it. I should put a disclaimer here that I did work with a trauma-informed therapist and a coach with support in my group coaching program as well. This approach may not fit your needs, and that's okay. I want you to do what works for you. Last, but certainly not least, give yourself grace and be open to asking for help. If you grew up during the 90s and early 2000s like I did, asking for help was looked down upon. If you couldn't do things on your own, you were kind of like an annoyance. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. This comes from people pleasing and also perfectionism. So if you identify with those things, both of those tendencies are self-harming and burnout worthy. It makes sense why we don't like to ask for help, but asking for help isn't as terrible as we usually believe. It just takes some practice and doing it over and over again and just letting the uncomfortableness be there. Most people are happy to help, and if they aren't, ask someone else. Someone will end up being a nice human and help you, okay? I promise. All right, before I wrap up, I really want to highlight the importance of taking these days and using them for reflection. Low brain days are not failures. I'm going to repeat that because I feel like it's good. Low brain days are not failures. They are normal. And they are actually feedback. They're feedback. Your mind and body are signaling to you that you need to recalibrate, to recenter, whether it's a type of rest, self-care, or something else. Think of it this way. Just like the electronics we have, they lag when too many things are open and running in the background and the storage is filling up or full. Your brain is like that, and sometimes it needs to pause and clean up and close up some tabs and apps and restart and recharge. I invite you to embrace these pauses and try really hard not to beat yourself up or think of these days as failures. Reflect on them and use that information to improve in the future. That's all I have for now. Be sure to share this episode with someone if you think they may benefit from it, or share it to your socials and make sure you tag me so I can send you a virtual hug. Leave feedback down in the comments if you're on Spotify, stay authentic, and we will talk soon.